this thing on? Is this thing on? I'm not sure. I don't know. Is it? It is. Ew. Alright. Right. Hi, I'm Rion Elder, and this is the last episode of Crown Hunt TT, a video series where we answer the most frequently asked questions you had about Manhunt International. So today I'm answering what is the most commonly asked question now, which is how was the experience? If I had to sum it up in 2 words, it would be intense and fun. And I say intense because it was non-stop. It was non-stop. It was a lot of rigorous hours. After having flown for over 24 hours, I remember landing in Manila and coming from the airport, coming straight to the hotel and being told as soon as I walk into the door, you have a shoot and you're next. And that was the pace that everything went at. After that, we just went from shoot to shoot to shoot. We would have appearances, so like dinners or lunches. We would visit different venues, but those appearances were shoots in themselves. So I remember on one particular occasion we were at a restaurant and there was a photographer who was like, eat but make it sexy.
Most modeling is kind of acting like a hoe but making it fashion. Hoe, but then make it fashion. Hoe, make it fashion.
You know, so that's what it was like. Everything we did, everywhere we went, it was, you were always on. And there were instances where we would get back like close to midnight from rehearsals and then have to be up at, on one particular occasion, 3 in the morning and something 6 in the morning to go again. And that's just when you get back. That doesn't mean that you would have fallen asleep at that point in time, which was really hard for me in the beginning because it's a 12-hour time difference between the Philippines and home. So bedtime there was lunchtime in my body, as well as even though you would have gotten back at that time, you now have to my roommate and I, we would always, hi Jordan, Mr. Guam, we would always get ready for the next day the night before. Jordan would always say, let your future self thank your past self for what you did. So we would pack our bags for the next day, just go through the itinerary for the next day, make sure that we had everything that we would have needed. And that would have taken time. Fun just because the people, and when I say the people, first of all, my fellow contestants were amazing, and I think that was a revelation in itself, because you think you're entering into a competition and everybody's going to be like hardcore and really aloof or aggressive, but everybody was so incredibly friendly and so incredibly nice and had such interesting life stories to share, and it was so cool getting to know everybody. And the getting to know process would have happened mostly during like our bus rides, and we would sit next to each other and talk to each other. We were just in line waiting on something or the other. You just have a little pocket of conversation, and it was so insightful to really come to a conclusion that I came to a very long time ago, which is that we are all a lot more similar than we are different. So it was really interesting to meet these people from all over the world, who all gathered in this one place with the same interests, and to realize that even outside of this particular competition that we all have similar goals, similar aspirations. We all just want to fulfill the things that we set out for ourselves. We all want to feel validated and not just by others but within ourselves, and that was interesting to come to that conclusion in conversations with everybody else. And I can honestly say that I left the experience with friends that I'll have a lifetime. If I had to think of First of all, everybody was amazing. But if I had to think of some standouts, I would say first of all, my roommate Jordan was incredible. And what was really incredible about Jordan is that it was a competition, but there were instances where I would have gotten discouraged because it was really really tough. And he was so encouraging. I can't tell you the amount of times he would have quoted Zosie Bini Tunzi. I and I never had a roommate before, like I've had flatmates before, and we just gelled and it just worked, and it was really good. Like apart from my friends at home, to have like a support system there. Spain was amazing. When we had in particular when we had a video shoot on the beach when I was on my stilts going across from where I was to where the shoot was, like he never left my side. He was very concerned. He wanted to make sure I was okay. He carried my wings and he's like, okay, we'll put on your wings when you get there. And like he didn't have to do that. He already shot his own and it would have went well, and helping me does nothing for him. But that kind of kindness I really appreciated. Turkey was like my alphabet buddy, so he was always right next to me. And then my nickname for him was Grumpy Cat because he's the grumpiest man you'll ever meet in your life. On the surface, when you get to know him better, he is amazing, an incredible friend, and we talk almost every day now. Domer, who was the homeboy, the homeboy. He was the host. Like it was in the Philippines, and he was Mr. Philippines. And he was just incredibly nice, incredibly welcoming and informative, and like it wasn't his job to be anybody's tour guide, but he was always insightful and informative in terms of like things to do. For example, when I was asking like things for us to do afterwards, he had suggested going to this bar where they have box, and we did go, and it was hilarious and great fun. Who else, boy? Mr. Morocco, who's like the best smelling man you'll ever meet in your entire life. My friend from Malaysia who's getting married in December, and I really really want to go. Nepal, Mr. Personality, who is, I really appreciated not just his friendship like during the show, but like after the show. Like he would check up on me, because I had like lots of flights and lots of connections to make to get back home, and he was always checking up on me to make sure I was safe, make sure I had gotten to where I had to go, and I really appreciate that. And I mean, Mr. Emirates, what I really liked about him, there was a time we had like a dinner at night and we were outside and they were taking photos, and of course like I'm the darkest person there and you couldn't see me, and he would take his iPhone and he would light me for the picture so that I would be seen. And like those little things really stood out, in just in terms of like little pocket friendship things that happened. And then of course Sweden Elvir, who was in like every single one of my stories. And who training girls seem to have loved from their story replies. So the guys were incredible, but also the Filipino people were incredible. The Philippines is a country that is, for want of a better term, like pageant crazy. Like they love pageants. So in talking to the guys from all over the world, I really got a understanding that the experience that we had there was unique to there, and this does not happen elsewhere, where the public was so invested in the show. We had fans, and it was crazy to me to have fans. We were hosted by the deputy mayor. There was like we had a motorcade throughout the city where people came out and genuinely had like their favorites and fans and people that they wanted to meet and take photos with. Even to have police protection for a motorcade through the city was so foreign to me. There was this guy, he's a artist, a cartoonist, who sketched a drawing of a caricature of each of us and came and gave it to us. And even after the show, like the craziest thing to me after the show was the fact that there was like a police guard outside the venue pushing fans and keeping fans off of us. And I was just like, I remember one point in time, like UK turned to me and he's like, I feel like I'm Wayne Rooney, because that was the level of like fandom and pandemonium that we had at some appearances and at some venues, and that was an incredible experience to have, to feel like a celebrity for a week, to have like paparazzi outside of venues where you went to have dinner, to have restaurants shut down for you to have lunch, for you to have dinner, to have photographers taking photos of you just shopping in a sunglasses store, um, having lunch somewhere, and just having people. For me, the majority of fans that I would have met would have been after the show, and it was so funny because after the show I went to eat. Like the show was done, and I was starving, and I went backstage to eat, and about 5 people came and it's like, "You have fans outside that want to meet you." I was like, "I have fans," and sure enough, like I went outside, and it was there were people who they loved my walk, they loved my they loved when I walked off, and the people who loved the costume, and it was so surreal and humbling to have had that experience and to meet people who like loved me and just wanted to meet me, because that's very very far removed from like my daily life. Um, if I had to talk about anything else, I would say. Okay, so let's talk about the costume and what happened that day.